Good morning. Welcome to Small Business Chat. Karen and I nearly missed it. We were too busy chatting, weren't we?
We were. It was something like, hey, let's get ready.
Oh my word. There we go. Morning.
Yeah. It is good though. I was just reading a post on LinkedIn and she was saying the importance of getting on video and smiling. I think you might have commented on that as well by Amy. And I said, yeah, one of the things is I think people are quite nervous getting on the live shows, and the other one I do on a Tuesday. And by getting on beforehand and chatting and relaxing into it a bit for 10 minutes before, you just get a bit more relaxed and you're more likely to smile then, aren't you?
It's true. And I do practice runs for videos. One of the tips that you taught me was to try and do lives in a private group. So I've been doing some lives for training in another group for a client. And I have been using a KBCon's like private group page to try and do the lives in there. And I do it about 2-3 times practice. So it means that when I go into that live, it kind of flows a little bit more naturally for me. So doing the practice beforehand, but yes, definitely when you're chatting and doing all one-to-one, I just like the energy from it as well, because we've had a bit of a giggle already. And I think that was the whole point when we started. It was doom and gloom.
Yeah, it's really nerve-wracking.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I've got a private group as well, and I actually got a couple of friends and associates as well just to practice in there. I said, just use it to practice.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. So it does help.
Anyway.
So, hence, that's why we're smiling, but also that's why we're nearly late. But good spot, Karen. So yes, welcome to this week. We wanted to talk about this week, like how to talk about your brand story. And one of the interesting things that I know Karen and I have gone through ourselves about defining our brand values is really key for your business. But also I would find there was a little ta-da noise somewhere on the computer. I would also find that when business owners are asked to speak about themselves, that's when they freeze. And I think the interesting thing, a point about that is they think, oh my God, what am I going to talk about? What am I going to communicate? Am I going to say the right thing? What is my story? I don't know what elements make it interesting or engaging at all. And what I found is that as well as the brand values work that you're doing, we all have had, if you're a business owner, we have all had an individual journey. And I don't like to say the word unique, but it is essentially our experiences have formed our perspectives, and therefore that will affect the solution that we will offer to, with our work and who we want to work with and how we want to work. And that is quite a blueprint. That is your fingerprint right there. And what I find really interesting is that I think because me selling in businesses to journalists and talking about the business owner and their journey, I was doing it naturally. So I didn't really figure out this was such a big leap for people to do it themselves. It's easier when you're listening to someone, like I would just sit and go, oh my God, this person came from here and they did this and this is how it's, and I would just talk about it.
Yeah.
But then when it comes to if I had to go, right, Karen, tell me about yourself, I think that you would just be like, well, what do I say?
Well, it was. I mean, you asked me the question just before this, and I was like, oh, and then it's sort of like, okay, well, think about, I suppose then I sort of thought, okay, what's another way of looking at it is like, what got you to this place? So what did you do before and why are you here now? What led you to this place? Because I was thinking about it, and some people have really great backstory, some quite inspirational, people who have struggled through something, who have, some are quite tragic and emotional, and then they've done something, as a result of that, or whatever's worked to heal them, that is what they now use. So that's quite a powerful, like, TED talk. And so I was just, so when you sort of said to me, I was like, well, what could I talk about when that's interesting? It's quite difficult, I think.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that everyone can perhaps write a book about their life, but what I would say is that, or they might be able to, but I do agree that when you have those stories or those inspirational speakers that will just blow any talk out of the water, and then you think, I've got to go behind that. Like, no, I'm quite blessed and privileged in my life. I don't know if I'm going to be able to have that shock story. But I think when you're talking about your business, and even if you were asked to say, let us know a little bit about yourself, I think there's a real opportunity there, and you can talk about it in your social, in your marketing. That, you know, it doesn't have to be a TED talk. I think that's what puts people off. I think they imagine what's your story, and they envisage like 15 microphones into their face going, tell us now. It doesn't have to be like that. It's fine. It's absolutely fine. So what I would say is the interesting thing would be think about where you started. Like, what was your life like? Like, they call it like the brand hero journey, and actually it's a really good process to go through. And I noticed that it's like, what was their current situation? Like, where were you first? So, you know, you might have been, I think for a lot of us, for business owners, we were stuck in, you'd mentioned it before, we were stuck in this corporate way of thinking, or a very rigid way of thinking, for example. And then I think how we break through, like, what is it that we didn't like about it? That is another element to it. What is it that didn't sit well with us? What was it that made us break free? It could be what things are around us. It could be personal. It could be within the organization, but there's usually a trigger. And then you talk about trying to do things your way. And inevitably, there is always a fail story. Like, I don't imagine anyone that's gone off and done their own thing and not had some learnings or some failings that have given them some valuable lessons. So it's incorporating that into it. How did you then overcome that? Like, what was it that you tried to do? What is it that you tried to change? And then what is it that you tried and tested again? And it may be that you failed again and you had to retry it. But again, going through this story of, this is what has led me to this path to deliver what I'm delivering right now for you. And, you know, the nice part of that is the success story. Like, actually now, and you know, to some people that complete that hero journey, it's like, I'm at a place now where, you know, I'm working with some amazing clients. It doesn't have to be a big monetary success angle for me. And again, in this light, what I think was a big aha moment over the past 3 months is, thank God I'm working with clients now that get it. Thank God I'm working with clients where we're not arguing or I'm trying to convince them to do the right thing. I have found the clients that I've wanted to work with for all this time.
I think a lot of that has changed though, because when I started in the kind of online marketing arena back in 2009, working for myself, you had that massive educational process of sort of telling people why they needed a website and why they needed to be doing online marketing before you could even go, okay, and here's what I can do to help you do it. So yeah, it was hard work. I think it's a lot easier now, because people understand that they need it, and it's so much out there that everyone is doing it, and you have to kind of be, you know that you have to promote yourself. You know, some people still don't do online marketing or social media or anything, and that's fine. They get their business through referrals and other ways, but you still have to be doing promotion on some sort of level. And for most people, it's a lot easier, especially small business owners that you and I work with. You know, unless you've got those really good contacts, you know, social media provides a free way, apart from resources, to really get to all of those people.
And I think that should be to build that know, like, and trust factor. I think that when you pique that interest of, oh, is this the person that's behind it? I think there is another layer there that it makes them want to support you even more. Now, for example, or at least have that element of, I know she knows, I know this person will get it. I know this person will understand where I'm coming from, and therefore they'll be able to help me better. I was having, like, over the years, I've had conversations with business owners, and I've seen how, for example, people that have, like, I've noticed, for example, people that have struggled being a single mum, let's say that's a really big one, and especially with a lot of the coaches that I work with online, they're passionate about helping other single mums. And what I love is seeing that they really understand where that customer is coming from. Or if you're from a corporate perspective, you know, you've seen how challenging it is to be in that corporate world, to be heard, to perhaps deal with certain behaviours that you're not happy about. And because you've probably been through it, it means that you're going to fight for it more, because you know that it's not right. You've been there, so you want to help others get over it. Now, again, I think that's something that by incorporating that into your story, it makes it so much more impressive that actually, yeah, you totally get where I want to work with you. I see that you see me and I want to work with you. And I think making sure that's in your brand hero story, or talking about yourself, or that's why we're saying now, and I think this is so true, it's going to be more important. The more you promote yourself, let's hear more about you and behind the scenes, as well as what are your values. You know, for example, I know your love of travel. I know that you are so well travelled, and to see what's happening to the planet and what's going on, that would have maybe have impacted your eco-conscious like training.
Yeah, well, I mean, at first, yeah, because firstly going into travel, well, actually it goes way back to probably when I left school, was do I go into design or travel? And I had both of these things going on, and I ended up going for an interview for a travel company, not getting that, and ended up then going into the design side of things and working for desktop publishers. So I took that route for a little while, and then when I got over to the UK, ended up going and taking a few of those skills I'd learned doing desktop stuff, but ended up working in corporate because I didn't have a graphic design degree, and I didn't work on a Mac. And all the design agencies wanted people who worked on Macs. So, and I had PC skills, so it was quite weird. So anyway, so I learned those sort of things and went and, but the jobs that you could get were in corporate, doing presentations and graphics and things like that. And I left that because I just hated the whole corporate world, the way of thinking. For me, it just, you know, a lot of what was involved really went against my ethics. And so I left that, and I was telling you earlier, I left from a 40 grand job to 9 grand a year to go and work and travel again. Well, not again, to go work for the first time. So kind of, you know, the circle had turned, and I went, and it was quite scary. But wow, did I love it? You know, it was such a fabulous job, and I ended up being in the travel industry for 7 years. But then, funny enough, I've now come out of that, and from things that I've learned marketing-wise, and with my design skills, I've now brought back into what I do now. So
that's just it. That is the path, isn't it? You've got that mishmash that is so unique to, I hate that word unique, but you know what I mean? It's so specific to the choices that have appeared for you, and which path that you have taken, that actually when I sit there and I think, crikey, to go from 40 to 9, I think anyone that's...
I know, people just said you must be crazy.
I know.
Oh, dear.
And when we're working with business owners who have suffered that drop and their budget counts, you know, I think you understand that better than anyone. Of actually, I understand how you have had to go from here to here in revenue to make this work. This is the sacrifice. And one thing that I've always noticed about you is that you are all for saving time and money, like not wasting lots of money on expensive things when there is more efficient tools out there. And that's been one of your, and if anything, that again is part of the story, that how to do things efficiently at good cost, like good quality, but without spending extortionate amounts, because you've been there, you know it.
Yeah, I didn't see it, you know, as a story in that way. And that's why I thought this was going to be quite interesting, because you could use me as a case study. Because if I got put up and they said, what do you do? And it's not just standing up and talking about, I mean, you might do a talk at a networking group, you might be asked to do a radio show, you know, it's not necessarily going up and standing doing a TED talk. It's a number of things, or do a PR article. You know, I've avoided doing that because I just think, oh, well, what's my story to tell? I'm just going to say hello, Nikki, because she's sort of a few comments, and she's just saying it takes a lot of courage to pick and choose clients, letting the wrong ones go. But you're totally right, for most positive outcomes on both sides.
Super
But
rewarding.
also said, yes, Christelle, absolutely. If I feel someone sees me, genuinely gets me, I would employ them all day long. So thanks for your comments, Nikki. Thanks for.
It's so true. I think that's why. And I think you need to find someone that can listen to your story. It's something that I'm trying to develop more and more with clients, is sitting down with them. And I know that I asked a lot of questions with my clients. So what I think is natural to me, it isn't necessarily natural to the business owner that has to go tell their story. So for me, and I've heard some, like you say, those truly inspirational stories where you're just like, oh, go get my coat. Like, this is so inspiring that, wow, what have I got to complain about, do about, whatever. But because you see those people shaking as they tell their story. And yeah, it's such an amazing story to tell. And I believe we all have that story within us. Like, we all have that journey, those choices develops a story that should be told. I think absolutely,
Yeah, no, it is good when you listen to some of those talks and you just think, wow, where they've come from. And yeah, so I think it is quite hard to kind of go, well, what can I say that can kind of beat that or follow on from that? But it's not about that, you know what I mean? I think you've just got to see those as that, wow, that's just really inspiring, and what can I take from that and learn from that, and also be grateful for, I think that's one of the things, going for a little bit on a tangent, but working it by traveling is kind of seeing things from a different perspective. And it kind of grounds you again, doesn't it?
Yes.
When someone's got a good brand story and something like that, you just go, wow. But then you think, well, I'm really grateful for what I have as well.
Yeah.
Seeing what they've been through.
I think you're so right, Karen. I really do. But I think if anything, it should inspire you to tell your story. And I think that when I listen to people, I think it saddens me, shocks me, but then also inspires me that people they've got so many amazing insights that if they could share, but they think it's not important enough, or they think it's not relevant. And actually, I always go by the premise that if it impacts one person, if it helps one person to make them think, you're right, I should do it, and let me start on that journey, then that's important. And imagine that your story can inspire someone else, or give them an idea to go, right, I can take that will influence me. So yeah, I think really important. And just to pop those into like posts, marketing, emails, it can still work. And then who knows, it may even be like, I think it's every story TED Talk worthy. I think we all have insights. And again, from what you go on to create, it will be because of your background. It will be because of your journey, that your perspective and your training will get you to perhaps the big solution that you want to talk about at TED.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think, and I think you're really good at pulling that out of people as well. So definitely I'll come to you. I always do. You sort of come to you, talk to you, and chat to you about it. When I have to do something like that, because you're really good at sort of pulling out what sort of content people can be talking about, or looking at your story and what makes you unique, and conveying that out to people. So definitely get in touch with Christelle if you need help doing that.
Well, definitely. I'll also send the link. I'll send, I think it's called the Brand Hero's Journey, and it's just you can get like graphs on it. You can find it on Google, but it does tell you, and it's something that I've worked with on actually a coach. They talk about the brand house, which again, Gemma's brilliant at this. It was the whole, oh, here's my values, here's my mission. And it does tell you about it. But when you think about what were your pain points, but following this wheel, I realized this is how I sell my clients when I'm telling their story. And it's like, oh, wow. I didn't even know there was a framework, a bit like Start With Why. I didn't even know there was a framework around it. But I just think between Start With Why, finding your why, and then how to then talk about the journey and how you integrate that, much more powerful.
Yeah, and I think visuals are really good. Yeah, so if you've got a link to that we can share, that would be amazing.
Yeah, I'll find it. I think there's a really nice way of doing it. So
Great. Well, thanks again. Thanks, Nikki. She says shows are great. Getting to know Christelle's style is so cool. Thank
thank you, Nikki.
you. And I know we've had a couple of other people sort of tuning in and joining and watching. Do say hello if you want to, or give us a like. Just to let you know, we appreciate you watching and tuning in. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. We've been getting a few more likes and comments, and I know that people have said that they can't watch it live, which is totally understandable because people are trying to work and juggle everything. So if it helps and brightens up your day whilst you're having a coffee, then fair dues. Brilliant. All right, then take care. We will see you next week.
Next week, Wednesday at 10.
Wednesday at 10 on our.
Take care, everyone.
Take care. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.